Alrighty guys, so thank you for bearing with us. Obviously a little bit of a longer break, so we're a little bit ahead of schedule at the moment. Well, at least we were until now. And we're waiting on eSuba and Denial to join us for the final game of the day. And once again, thank you, Melly. And actually, talking about Melly, she did get some interesting questions about the draws and how the actual dynamics of the game work. And we can kind of have a little talk about that before the teams get themselves prepped and ready for this final game of the day. And we were talking about Prokhorovka there, and why does it always end, or it's more likely to end in a draw?
It's a big map. I mean, that's it. We have ends, for instance, 600 by 600. Doesn't often end in a draw because the teams are
nowhere
close
to run,
to
nowhere
each
to
other.
hide.
You can be on the opposite end of the map and you can still be pretty close to each other. Prokhorovka, 1,000 by 1,000 meter, kilometer big. And really, to get from point A to point B takes longer. So that takes a couple of minutes of the game. Then it's very polarized. So we have the left tree side, left tree road side, the right side with the village. And then you have those two options and you kind of have it go back and forth between that. It just takes time to go across. You also have to commit. You have to go across that railroad, or you have to go across the def lines in the middle. So you have those options, and it's a very big risk to take. So that's why it often draws out. And it wasn't always the slowest map. For instance, when Artillery was back in Season 1, the threat of the Lorraine 15551 hitting you with the 1,250 damage shell was just too much. So you couldn't sit in bushes for too long because you'd eventually get hit. So quite often we saw the brawl in the middle, and it used to be pretty quick. But generally, it's going to be Prokhorovka, the longest map, probably followed by Himmelsdorf is pretty long, generally.
But it doesn't generally end in a draw, though.
No, I think Steps probably second, another open map. Usually an engagement
happens
happens
Abbey as well, but
Abbey is insane how long that one and how many draws there were. There was a lot of options for the teams to go here, let's go there. So it was quite exciting to play. But at the end of the day, it's not acceptable to play a map and just be driving from A to B, and it might be cool to drive there, but you're not having a winner at the end of the day. That's why we had to change the map, obviously. And of course, if you're going to be playing in the silver or the bronze series going in, you have to be looking at those map pools because it's going to be the same as the golden series.
That's a very good point. And I like Prokhorovka when you get it going, once it gets a little bit warmed up. And I think maybe reducing it down to those 7 minutes could actually really get a nice result coming out there. Making these teams, if they're going for the draw, you see it from the very start, or if they want to go for the win, or whatever they're doing, it's very initial and it's very straight up. Because Prokhorovka, you do get a little bit of time, and if nothing happens in your favor, I feel it's almost gone within those first 3 or 4 minutes. You can see if the team's got the advantage or not, and you rarely see anyone kind of going, let's make this happen. Whereas in other maps, there's a little bit of a possibility. There's always a way to hedge your bets. But anyway, we are going to start looking at Cliff, which will be the first map between eSuba and Denial. These two going head-to-head any second now. And who do we need to be looking out for here?
For eSuba, Voodoo's their team captain, just joining us in the previous match day. I think he's the most important player for them.
Yeah.
And for Denial Esports, I have to say Butcher has been stepping up, not quite filling the boots of the lost comrade Elian, but certainly been helping his team through the difficult times. Nia Pazzoni been playing good as well. Materia's Pautomako, the ever face of consistency in that AMX 1390. So quite a stacked lineup for Denial Esports. Generally still pretty strong. Ketavan's also been doing pretty well. Looks like he's going to be playing finally in anything but a tier 1 today. And having to say, eSuba, of course, Voodoo, as I mentioned, obviously Los Coscos doing well. Twixo, been pretty happy with him. Mirage, we're still waiting for to join us in this game. So all in all, a pretty strong lineup from both these two teams, but I have to give it to Denial.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I look at Butcher, and I think you mentioned it well. He may not be to the Elian standard, but he's getting back to the Butcher style. Butcher was a brilliant player back in the last couple of seasons. Big damage dealer, big aimer. In the last couple of games, I think I look at Steps, for example, and he played it perfectly there, really well timing himself out and doing the job. And I hope to see a little bit of that today. And eSuba, I'm still not sure to how they play yet. We didn't get a good display of them in the first couple of games. They were missing that team captain. Very important factor. With him now back, we need to I feel as though we need to wipe the slate clean almost with our opinion. We saw them, let's take it from the first time in the last match day. And they looked okay. They didn't look desperately strong, but they looked okay. And what sort of tank lineup are we seeing here coming in for them? Because Cliff will be the first map. Is that something we might see them able to work with?
Well, the Cliff is still one of those maps where heavy tanks don't work because you need that initial engagement. You need to be able to move from point A to point B. You have a few really key areas. You've got the middle area, Then you've got the left side, and you've got the road around the back. That's really the 3 areas you can play around with in Cliff. So heavy tanks just can't get to those places in time, and so we still see the likes of what we have from eSuba, which looks like triple AMX 3090, double T69, double Tier 1, pretty standard stuff, and Nia Pizzoni joining us, the last member for Denial. Probably going to be playing something pretty similar. Zenef picking up that AMX 3090, obviously a previously Evil Panda Squad player. Well, yeah, he's going to be picking the MX 3090. Materius in the KV5, probably going to be losing that one pretty quickly, because not such a great tank all in all.
No, not ideal.
Not ideal. KV5 is obviously the Russian Tier 8 premium tank. One of the tanks you can actually win and go for, which is obviously going to go through quite a lot of changes as well. You've obviously can head over to ESL World of Tanks for more information. Also EU.WG League, where you can find all the information on the Golden League, as Melly decides to try and open every single bottle cap in the whole entire world. Pershing Meritorious being picked up there. Double AMX 3090 played by Zenith and Butcher. 2 Tier 1s, Nia Pizzoni, Snip even, and Carmen. To be honest, I mean, I've been really a big fan of Snip in that Tier 1. I mean, the grand finals, I believe they were playing against, I think it was Navi, and Snip, what was it? Might have been a school bus, but he was sitting up in one of the bushes and managed to be in the perfect position, and positioning is the name of the game for that Tier 1. Last tank, Nia Pizzoni, T69.
So, which lineup are we favouring here for Cliff?
Well, we saw how well School Bus did with that Pershing against Wusa. Pershing just managing to get consistent damage down, which gave them the advantage when they went in for the attack, the final strike. So for me, it's going to be Denials.
Well, I think I tend to agree with you. I like their lineup, I like their players, but he's super a threat. They might be able to pull something out of the bag and surprise us here. I think we are just waiting on Polymako to make sure his internet connection is okay to go. He is obviously in the UK at the moment, so he's having to deal with the terrible internet that we used to be dealing with. Virgin Media, I'm calling you out right now, scumbags. Never good. Never good,
but
people.
For $1 million, we'll say something different.
Yeah, you know, if you want to help us out, you know,
Scratch
couple of
each other's
yachts,
backs.
you know,
Yeah.
nice little holiday somewhere, we'll be okay. We'll back you up. But until that day, BT are much better.
World Cup tickets for the finals.
That also works.
That would work.
Yeah, then they'd suddenly be really good. Really, really good. It steps up the quality straight away. We are just waiting on the internet stuff. Mirage, I think, having some issues as well. Dear Lord, we want to go and watch the football. And they're all breaking their internet. This is what happens, ladies and gents. You're like, oh, if it's a good game, if someone's like really good, if Denial come out strong, it might be over in 3. And we're like, oh, but eSuba, they look good, maybe not. Doesn't matter. We might be able to catch the end of the footy. No, we're not.
Nope.
We might get home before 3 a.m. That's if we're lucky. But we are just waiting on the final members to make sure all is okay. Obviously, you don't want to start things up and then someone drop out and then it goes wrong, and you don't want to have any external factors to blame here. So, Polymako rejoining us, Virgin Media deciding to work finally after throttling him terribly. Waiting on those tickets. And eSuba, I'm not sure if they're
We're actually play-by-play
sorted.
commentating what's happening with the players. It's pretty funny.
This is my life.
Yeah, we're waiting for Mirage. He says he's got some troubles at home, so I guess.
And how do you think, as an analysis, he can work around that one?
I think he's got to tell his mum to go and make him a sandwich.
Whoa, that's that's not cool, man.
That's the main.
Not cool.
That's the main problem.
Is that the problem?
That's the main problem I had.
Was your mum on Facebook too much?
She-
Uploading those holiday snaps.
She would, yeah.
Oh dear.
That's
bless
so
her.
true. Yeah.
It's when
Pretty
you used to be
much.
playing video games, and I used to live with my 2 younger sisters who were like hitting the age of 16 when selfies were literally rife
Yeah.
throughout the world of Facebook. About nothing relevant, let's be serious. Nothing relevant came from her phone being uploaded to her Facebook. So, put it out of the corner. I'd be playing a game, it was like an official game, I was in ESL, I was like, okay, we've got to win this map. And suddenly, 600 ping, and I'm just like, Spotify's being a little bit laggy today. Tab out, Spotify's closed. I'm like,
Yeah.
Sister, what are you doing? Nothing. That's the biggest
So-
lie I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I'm doing nothing. Really? Facebook's doing nothing. Many arguments were had.
Yeah, I know.
It's the flat
exactly
out
thing.
lies
My
that they give
sister,
you.
my sister used to watch. We had like a, I think it was 1.7 megabyte internet connection
Oh,
at one
nice,
point. It was
nice.
a great, like no one used this line, so it was the best ping. I had like 10, 15 ping to Germany.
Oh, nice.
Because it was literally an unused provider on an
Yeah.
unused line. It was just great
Good
switches
quality.
in between,
Mhm.
but it was just zero power. So my sister would watch like YouTube, and I would just absolutely lose my mind on that because I was playing. I think it was CS 1.6 or Battlefield 2 or
Lord.
something, and I was just like,
Nice.
I need that ping to be able to
I
beat these
need this.
Germans. Because they used to have German Goereg in Battlefield 2, and I used to annoy me a lot. Yeah, I mean, I now live here, and it's, although I think we can all agree that sometimes it's just the netcode that's bad.
Yeah, I think we can say that.
Yeah.
Just calling you out as well, Battlefield. If you want to get us some tickets,
Yeah.
also works fine. You know, I might be fired off that soon, but it's cool. It's cool. They got a new game coming out. They're fixing that stuff.
Yeah, I played
hopefully.
that. I played that the other day.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What do you think of it?
It was okay.
All right? Yeah.
Yeah.
No one lagging you out. Tim, the producer, not pestering you with that.
No.
He's uploading his holiday snaps to Facebook.
No, it's usually Tom. He likes watching it. He likes watching his
YouTube.
videos.
Big fan of YouTube.
Yeah, indeed. We're waiting for, still waiting for eSuba to get us.
I think it's Mirage who's just trying
It's
to wait.
Mirage, yeah.
He's only a tier 1. Come on. Just kick him. Ollie can jump in. Sorted.
They might end up winning then.
Oh, no, that's... Denial suddenly protesting very swift, like, whoa, not that guy. The guys at home, you guys know what it's like to have a relative who just decides to lie to you every time. Like, yeah, I'm not using the internet at all. I'm just looking at my photos and playing on Paint. Liar, you're a goddamn liar. You all know how it feels. So hopefully he can go and remove his sister away from the computer, just I don't know, wheel her off somewhere, and he can get back to playing some tanks. And now they decide to go to the bathroom. Ladies and gents, slow clap, please. Slow clap right now. Melly's in on it. Oh, this is glorious. See this face? This face is this is very unhappy. Very unpleased.
They're going on a bio break, but so what time is it now? So we should be going in, let's say, a minute and a half, 2 minutes. We should be able to get in game. The lineups are set in. We're just waiting for Mirage on the side of eSuba to join us. He's back, so he's obviously dealt with whatever problem he has. So we should finally be able to go into this first game between Denial and eSuba. First map is going to be Cliff.
Should. I'm saying nothing until I see it start.
Touch wood. Right. I think this is wood.
I don't know. It feels pretty plastic.
Yeah, no, it's wood. It's just laminated.
Okay. There we go. Fair enough. So, just gonna wait here. Just gonna wait.
eSuba's ready.
eSuba's fine now, but it's Denial who've decided the bathroom. Carmen's getting nervous.
He's got a bladder like a 3-year-old.
He's getting nervous.
They haven't won much in the last couple of weeks.
Like, oh no. It's all going wrong. It's getting a little bit worried before. A little bit tense. Just get in the game, Carmen.
Might eat my muffin.
I thought you already ate your muffin.
No, I got halfway through. Couldn't finish it. It's a big muffin.
Yeah.
You devoured it. Melly and Lauren just down in one. I'm just nibbling at it, and they're just like, oh, one bite. That's what happened. Don't deny it. I can't believe she just threw a pen at me. Hit me straight in the face. I don't know what to do. I've never seen something more unprofessional than that. I'm sorry. But that's the second.
What were we discussing before then?
That's the second.
What were we discussing?
That's the second time something's hit me in the head from Melly in the show.
That's because you got a gigantic head.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is.
Oh.
Alrighty, guys, we are ready. Dear, thank God. Alrighty, guys, so let's get ready for Cliff. It's gonna be our first map between Denial and eSuba. Ollie, protect yourself and get your little helmet next time. And I think we're ready to get into that map. So, guys, let's play the video. So, ladies and gents, we are into battle number 1. Finally, onto Cliff. Let's see how this one goes down. In the north in red, it will be eSuba. Internet connection now sorted and Denial with empty bladders in the south in blue. Now ready to rumble. What are we seeing so far?
Denial heading up into the standard positions, not going for that left side push. Butcher, Xena from the 2 AMX-1390s charging forwards. Protomac and Neopazoni Meritorious in the background with the slower tanks. And for eSuba, much of the same story, although they seem to have committed a couple of their forces to the right. I think that's Birgit, Fluky, and Los Cosco. Birgit and Fluky, at least, in the 2 AMX-1390. Stenian supporting the T69, so a little bit of a switch around for eSuba. Could catch Denial by surprise indeed. Butcher has to be careful, has to rotate around a little bit because of those two MX-1390s, but they're not T69s, so they won't have the hull down position. They'll still need to go for the engage.
Yeah, Los Coscos there. Keeping eyes on Butcher. Got to be careful, but he's baited out for Fluky to make a move around the side on the flank. Burgett's there as well, and good connection so far. This is great play. There's been a bit of an execution as well. Down towards the middle, but it's not gone so perfectly. Stenley and Los Coscos now in trouble. Los Coscos gets one on the way out. Takes out Butcher, but that's a 2-for-1 trade, and it's not in eSuba's favor.
Yeah, the two MX-1390s used too many shells, and now Twixo's in trouble.
Yeah, Twixo might not be able to get out of this one. He's got 4 players around him. He finds one. That's Niers Pizzoni down. He's still standing somehow. That's brilliant play. Zenith gets a little bit of fire in the cross, and that is not looking ideal for Denial just yet. They're still making this hard work. Twixo, though, on the run, trying to get out of it, trying to find cover. Just about gets one in the back, though. He's going to be down very low, 100 HP. Not sure if he can survive this. He's got a couple of tanks hunting him down. Let's see if eSuba can reset this fight now.
2 versus 3 situation. Twixo does get taken down. Perfect play by Meritorious.
Now Meritorious there coming round when it mattered, leaving just Burgett alive now. And well, Tier 1s are doing their job, but I'm not sure he can take down Meritorious, Potomaco, and Zenith, even with those 7 minutes left. Best thing I feel eSuba can do now is maybe draw this one out.
Oh, 7 minutes and 45 seconds. It's an awful long time to draw it. Burgett gets caught on the cross, will get tracked and taken almost down by Meritorious, but just in time, Burgett will get on the engage.
Yeah, Burgett turns that turret real fast and tries to make a move, tracks Meritorious, but still Burgett on the run, gets one in the back. Potomaco now joins the race. Potomaco is not going to let him get away, surely. Bit of damage comes through, Burgett lands another, but he's about 2 shots away. 1 shot make it, and he goes down as Mirage and Slavista, the last 2 alive, with a cap against them. Well, even in their favor, I don't think they can do it. 1 minute and 28 on this board. I just don't see this being possible.
Yeah, Mirage is going to try and make a desperate attempt at capping, but Meritorious will turn that desperation into pure anguish as eSuba walk away with their first map as a disappointment. After, I thought, a pretty good engage, but it was fundamentally flawed from the beginning, and I have to say Denali Sports did manage to react in a good way, but it wasn't too hard. Mirage even gets taken down, leaving only Solavistas left in World of Pain. Actually, he's down as well. My bad. But looking at that map, it was a good move by eSuba in general.
Take me from the start there, because actually eSuba looked like they had the advantage. They got the drop on Butcher at the start. There was Fluky, I believe, and one other. Los Coscos almost baiting him out so he'd come around. Looked good. But then it went wrong. What actually happened there for them?
Sure. So basically, eSuba had 3 tanks below the cliff. 3 tanks there, and they had they sent 2 tanks around to try and take down Butcher, which was a good engage. I mean, if they hit 1 more shell, it would have been a lot less damage onto Los Coscos. He would have been at 50% HP, which wouldn't have made a whole lot of difference, but it would have been a lot better situation for them. Yeah. So. But the problem was these 2 MX-1390s. What it allowed is for the side of Denial with the 4 tanks to push in over onto the 3 tanks. So essentially, you had a 4 versus 3 situation. So the 4 managed to take down the 3, whilst the 2 only managed to take down the 1 and finally take down the second one. So you had a 3 for 2 exchange because of the way you shared your resources, and obviously you want those 3 tanks to go down, not the 2. So although you had the better engagement onto the 1 tank, Butcher, the engagement was more towards the side of Denial because they can engage more tanks with more of their tanks. So they managed to get the kills down. So all in all, just a numbers game, and Denial had the better numbers there.
Yeah, Denial looking good though, landing those shells, landing the shots they needed to, which was the important factor in that one more than anything. And we look back through previous results, I've got to say it, Denial, previously Mouse Sports or Lemming Train, whoever, whichever way you want to look at them fondly, were never a team of big aimers as well. They have stand-up players who can do these jobs, but they were never the team to land every shell after the other, and it was a bit of a problem. But then again, you look at them there, they were doing the very good shots, no one really escaped. I think the closest person to it was Burgett trying to get away in that 1390, but when you've got, I think, a good couple of players chasing you down, there's only so much you can do. So I believe Winter Hillsdorf will actually be next. City maps, I still feel Denial are quite strong on. I've not been a fan of them on Hillsdorf for a while. They've looked a little bit weaker than they used to, maybe due to the lack of Elian, who's now obviously with Kazna. Is this something they can look to get a 2-0 up on?
I think Himmelsdorf is a map, as I said before, which every team is capable of being every single other team. We've got 12 of the best teams in the world in the Wargaming League Europe, and eSuba did a good job previously against, who was that? I think it was Kazna? Was it Kazna?
It might have been, yeah.
Yeah, and they came very close to beating them there. Just the cross, they made one mistake. They crossed between Crooks and a couple of other IS3s from Kazna crew and got, their advantage, their 1 tier 8 tank advantage just taken away from them in a very short amount of time. So I think eSuba are going to be strong on this one, certainly stronger than on many other maps. And honestly, I think looking at the map bans, we got Mines banned out for eSuba, Denial bans out Prokhorovka. This could actually go in favor of eSuba. I think they're good on city maps. The open maps certainly aren't, and Mines it just depends on the way you're playing. But for the tank lineups, for Denial, it's 3 5100s, 2 IS3s, 2 tier 1s, and the same goes for eSuba Intel. So all in all, as we would expect, mirrored lineup on this map.
Yeah, no surprises there, really. Looking very similar. I'm looking to see something good out of Denial this time. As you said, everyone can play this map. This is a good point for them to prove that they are back onto the level they previously were. They looked pretty competent in the first, obviously on Cliff. Let's see if they can make it happen on the second. I think Denial having a couple of issues. Snip there just saying 1 second, please, I believe. So hopefully he's all okay and the internet is not dying on him just yet. Okay, they're ready. Just adjusting a couple of things before we get underway in a couple of seconds' time. We will be in Himmelsdorf. Currently, though, Denial with the advantage of the first map. A strong start for them. They need to keep that going. They need to keep building off the back of that. And they need to get the results in the bag. So, guys, let's find out if they can do it on the second map, Himmelsdorf. And welcome into that second map. It is Himmelsdorf and it's looking a little bit cold out here, so it will be eSuba starting in the south in red, and in the north in blue is Denial, currently leading with 1 point to 0.
Let's go.
Let's see if they can keep that up now. So, what are we seeing these guys going for at the very start here, Laughter? Because there's some different tactics these days. Some prefer the hill, some prefer that 1 to 3 line. What does Denial fancy today?
Well, a little bit more of an El Clasico from Denial, sending 3 tanks over towards the right side, 2 5100s, 1 IS3, rest of their forces heading up towards the middle. Miratorius obviously going to be keeping that hull down position right there. And for eSuba, also a pretty classic lineup, pretty classic style. A couple of tanks up towards the hill with a tier 1, 2 5100s going there, 1 tier 1 going there. Stenley in the middle with the IS3, Mirage, Los Coscos with the 5100 supporting him, and finally Slavistas over towards that train side with the tier 1 to get those spots. So standard start from the beginning. I think obviously the first few minutes are going to be about that hill, whether Zenef is going to be able to keep the pressure on without getting spotted, or just keep Snip in the right position. That could be the other option. And eSuba, they have 2 5100, so if they do end up pushing up and across the hill, they will be able to win that engagement. And it depends also if Zenef can scamper off the hill quick enough in their 5100. So these are kind of the options you have at the beginning of Himmelsdorf. Nothing too surprising, I don't think, and it's really going to be a game of who can win the engagement, who can win the end firefight, blocking, getting the focus fire on, as opposed to tactics.
And nice work there from Fluky, spotting out Snip, and I believe that might have been Zenef he caught a glimpse of as well, and I believe eSuba remaining fairly unspotted at the moment, at least the 2 tanks on the hill, Twixo and Birgit. Fluky deciding to take a bit of a different route there. Snip will be the one on the top of the hill with him in that tier 1, so both of these two just trying to battle it out a little bit. Fluky there, as you can see, moving up towards the castle at the very top, and playing it smart, playing it carefully. And those 5100s not being too spotted out just yet either. So who's got the advantage at the moment? Would you say it's eSuba due to the information, or?
No, I think it's pretty even. It's like a really classic start to Himmelsdorf. We really don't see any difference. Yeah, the only advantage these two teams could get is which one actually ends up winning in terms of the tier 1s. Obviously going to be very important, although we're seeing more firefights deciding Himmelsdorf as opposed to in Season 3, Season 2, maybe even Season 1, where we saw, for instance, Capping winning Himmelsdorf more. So that's always interesting, how the meta changes, even on a map that's really so classic as Himmelsdorf. But, looks like Snip wants to quickly cut his way off the hill and head down towards where Zenef, who's also retreating.
Yeah, so at the moment, Birgit and Twixo both there, keeping eyes on. A little bit passively, however. And Snip kind of picked up again. The Material's actually been spotted out, but nothing too monumental happening just yet, as Birgit will back his way away, and it's a fairly normal start, but as you said, very even, excuse me, between the two, and right now, who's going to be the one making that first move, do you feel?
Denial, they have quite a few tanks over towards the left side, the 1-2-3 line, and 3 tanks committed. Now, there's no reason why they wouldn't have the 4th tank, one of those 3 tanks, join Zenef, for instance, that 5100, so they can get that hill, the hill advantage, the hill firepower, unless they do end up wanting to push that 1-2-3 line at some point in time. So what will happen is that Potomaka will probably head forwards, might even join here, and then they're going to push along with Butcher near Pizzoni, and Zenef is going to join from behind. So within, let's say, 40 seconds, pretty much the whole of Denial can just kind of gather up and push one direction and just really go for it. It's hard. It's a hard move for sure, especially because you can see the forces for eSuba are over in that 1-2-3 line in pretty standard positions, good defensive positions. That's going to make it hard for Denial to engage in the right second. It's going to be hard for them to fend off, for instance, a 5100 that just wants to peek around and needs to be a little bit aggressive, but it does look like eSuba are going forwards. Yeah,
Twixo and Birgit coming off that hill and heading straight over towards Los Coscos and Stanley, and they're all pushing up that 1-3 line, and Materius does get spotted out, but these guys aren't stopping anytime soon. Birgit, however, does get one shot. That must be Potomako coming into effect. No tier 1 heading down that far. Birgit may be getting a little bit too far ahead of himself, so Vista not able to spot it out yet, but Los Coscos and Stanley finding near Spizzoni, but Butcher rearing his head round that corner, finds Stanley, connects one, Los Coscos receives another, and they're quite in a bad place here.
Bad place is a little bit of a nice word. They certainly are going to be caught in the crossfire. They need something to come around from the side. They need to really go for the engagement onto Butcher. I think he's the weak target. Don't worry about near Pizzoni in the IS-3s. That's not really going to be the answer. But they're still 5 versus 4, so they still got the HP and the firepower.
Oh, we see a split coming out as well from Mirage. He's heading out on his own to be the one man through the middle, going to push forward. Butcher receives one, but look at Birgit and Twixo. They're going very low here. This could be decided very quickly. Denial are saying strong, but eSuba going a little low. But Nias Pizzoni now is getting cornered out here. 2v1 situation unfolds. Stanley moves forward, maybe to help out Mirage with Materius, but Nias Pizzoni is not done with Los Coscos just yet. Nias Pizzoni, turret for turret, and Materius comes round. Stanley goes low. Mirage holding them back as best he can, but he does take him down. Materius has fallen, but Los Coscos still in the battle with Nias Pizzoni. Can he land the shell? One more will do the job. Los Coscos tracked, held in place, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and this is not looking good for eSuba.
Bad play from eSuba all around, not focusing fire at all, allowing Denial Esports to get that real damage, that real heavy firepower synergy going. Mirage low, Stenley low.
This could be all over in 3 shots. There's the first coming in from the side. That might have been Zenef there, slamming that one home. And now Twixo and Stenley, the last two really up here. And Fluky can maybe try and stay alive, but with a cap underway, he has to get back to the cap circle as well to deny that one, as Nias Pizzoni and Zenef feel like finishing off what they started. And Stenley's the first. Surely going to go to Nias Pizzoni. Now Twixo on the flank round the side. Might pick up one, but Butcher and Zenef are there, and here we go. Twixo goes into the crosshairs of Nias Pizzoni, and now just Fluky left. Can he stop the cap and stay alive for that entire time?
Would be one hell of a fluke if he does do it, because Carmen is a really good tier 1 player. That's not saying much. Tier 1 is not a great tanker, and we all know Carmen. Yeah, we're just not mentioning anything about his T69 play. But yeah, if Carmen's going to have to try and fend him off, he's got a better HP, so for the engage, he'll be at a better position, and he'll have the more firepower.
Well, Fluky now has Butcher to worry about, and Butcher playing defense is not going to help. It's 2-0 to Denial Esports. Well played to them, and I think you summed it up perfectly. So much of a lack of cohesion, and the firefighting was atrocious then. I don't think
the engagement was that bad. It could have been better. They could have left less HP. But it really was summed up when it was a 5100. I think it was Mirage going up against Meritorious in that IS-3.
Yeah.
So there was three versus two situation. Instead of the 3 tanks of eSuba focusing down near Pozzoni, or which he was in the middle, he was the easy target. 2 of them focused onto near Pozzoni. 1 of them focused onto Meritorious. It made no sense. Focus onto 1 tank first, then worry about the other tank. That's how World of Tanks works. It just doesn't. You do more damage when you have more people shooting at you. Simple as that. So again, you know, that synergy of those heavy tanks not working out for eSuba. Although their movement was good, I think the better idea for them would have been to send the IS-3s to the left instead of going towards the right, and actually just going for one big push up against the Butcher and Potomaco, as opposed to kind of splitting everything up a little bit. Or you send the 5100s around the side and come from behind on Denial Esports and send the IS-3s up towards the right side and, you know, distract one side, turn their turrets, and then come from the other side with the real damage from the 5100s. But next map will be Ensk. Denial Esports now clearly in the head, 2-0 up. I wouldn't expect eSuba to be quite so undramatic with their losses.
Yeah, they seem to have barely made a dent in Denial. They're going for those scrappy brawls, which is fine. If you can land those shots, you get the good fight coordination, that can be a perfect strategy. They've not really had it today. And Ensk being the next map, I'm not sold by them right now. I'm really not. Even with Voodoo's being back. But I don't see him in the lineup.
Yeah, Voodoo's is not around at all in the lineup, actually, is a good point. Certainly shows. You know, if you're a top team, eSuba is obviously a very well-established esports, one of the most established esports teams, I could say.
Organizations, definitely. Been around long enough.
You need, for instance, your team captain to be there really 100% of the time. If your team captain isn't there, like, absolute vast majority of the time. I was listening to, for instance, Mac G, who was doing some interviews at E3. Some guys from Simp that were there. Some guys from Simple Tankers were there as well. And, you know, Clutch, our compatriot over in the North American League.
The secondary best host.
In the second best host. He was talking to them, and Mac G summed it up perfectly. You need to find 7 guys who are there the vast majority of the time. Practice, training, and on time, willing to give up their time to be the best in the world. And if your team captain can't even do that, then maybe it's time to think about a new one.
Certainly a question that eSuba might have to answer soon, as you never know, obviously personal things might get in the way. You never know with these guys. Take us through the tank lines we're seeing, however, because I think we're almost ready to get underway.
So 2 5100s, 3 IS-3s for eSuba, standard stuff from them, 3 5100s, 2 IS-3s for Denial. A little bit less standard from Denial because they got the Himmelsdorf lineup with the extra 5100, but we've seen that more and more, also being more and more successful on this map.
Yeah, that's a bit of a burst fire coming in from that 5100. If it's in a bit of a squad with the others, it can be absolutely instrumental. But we'll see if it comes into effect here, as we are now seconds away from what could be the final map. Currently 2-0 in favour to Denial. We thought it was going to be a little bit one-sided maybe, but not to the extent of at least the first game. But this could be a clean sweep. eSuba not looking like the team that we hung a little bit of hopes towards, and they're not really showing us the strongest hand here, I feel. Looking a little bit weaker than I wanted, and I wanted to see a little bit more from them. You know, I wanted to see Voodoo's back in the mix, showing us, you know, what they can do, you know, what sort of, you know, strategies they can bring out and show us these, you know, aggressive style that they began with. I liked that. It looked, you know, different. It looked new. It looked like it could catch some teams off. We saw it working for the likes of C-Play. We've seen it for a lot of the newer teams coming in. Even, you know, Lucky Karaki catching people out. There could have been some real good upsets here, but it's not really happened yet. But guys, we're about just away from getting away into our possibly final map. It's going to be Ensk. So, welcome into Ensk. It could be our final map here if Denial pick it up, and that'll be 3 maps back to back. A little bit of a disappointing sight to my eyes, especially as a eSuba fan, hoping they'd really do some damage. But let's see what they can do here. They will be starting in the south in red with the weight of the world on their shoulders. That extra 5100 in the mix. Will it pay off against Denial, starting in the north in blue with that 2-0 lead? What are we seeing from the start?
Denial heading over towards the green zone like we've seen many teams do before. Not going an aggressive Meritorious, heading that one up. Snip in the tier 1 going first. Nia Pizzorni towards the right, looking up for the cross on the train tracks. Zenef Butcher still on reload in the 5100s, heading that way as well. And of course, Potomaco there for the cross as well. eSuba are in the same positions, pretty much just from the south, going for the cross onto the tanks. Los Coscos doesn't win that one out. There gets taken down to 1136.
Yeah, and this is what worried me before. This looks very similar to the time where I saw Kazna not allowing the opponents to cross over either, and it cost them dearly. And we are seeing eSuba being held down towards the bottom of these train tracks. Fluky and Los Coscos there, letting shots fly. Those IS-3s, they're not really connecting onto much. Just so far as Los Coscos receiving a lot of damage. Mirage does finally get one towards Materius, but it's all about Snip. Currently in the battle there, he's going to fall to the hands of eSuba, so first kill goes in their favor at least.
First frag going down well for eSuba, and they are doing a good job against Meritorious and Nia Pizzorni. Los Coscos, very good heavy tank player, and proving it against the likes of the best Meritorious. It's really about what Potomaco does on his own there in the 5100, whether he can find a flank around onto eSuba, because it's going to be a better tank advantage for them. Zenef finally finding his way around, and indeed the first move attack will be from the city from Denial as Los Coscos takes a big shell there down to 807.
Yeah, and look at eSuba, they're pushing forward. They're not sitting back at all. So Vista moving forward in the tier 1. Fluky and Stanley there as well. Don't forget the others in the background. Mirage moving up too. Los Coscos is fairly low, however, but Stanley will be the first on the scene. Lets the shell fly, does not find Materius. Let's see if anyone's going to land these shots. Over on that east side as well, Twixo's moving in as well. Mirage is there. They're all coming around, but Butcher might be a bit of a pain to deal with. As Twixo now being held up, 2 shells back to back. He's going to go down fairly low, but where's the reply? Will they be able to take down this 3-man firing squad? eSuba have committed, but it really might not go well here for them.
Well, they have to get the focus fire onto Meritorious as good as possible. He doesn't take that much damage, and look how much damage eSuba has done.
Yeah, Butcher managed to find Twixo was not the start. That means that northeast side is completely open for the taking there. And they don't know where Butcher is right now. I think they've just respotted him out. Mirage now adjusting accordingly, trying to get away, scamper off in. Here's Pizzorni receiving one as well. Mirage is trying to hunt down Butcher. There's too much of an unknown element leaving him out here. Too much of an angle left open. And right now, this has not gone to plan, but Materius takes a big bit of damage, and actually, they could turn this round. Fluky's done exceptionally well in that IS-3 there.
The 2 IS-3s, Levis's Fluky, definitely well, 1 IS-3, yeah. Fluky really keeping his team in the race. Zenef has got to try and find Los Coscos, though. He's got plenty of HP to find onto him as well, but Butcher does go down, evening up the tier 8s.
Oh, and Los Coscos is in trouble. He's got backup on the way. It's Stenley, but I don't think you can get there fast enough. Los Coscos trying to back away, find somewhere safe. The IS-3 might not be able to escape Zenef, and he doesn't. He goes down. And Stenley, just too little, too late, a little bit slow. He finally gets one back. Can he avenge his fallen teammate? The way this is going, I'm not sure. There are battles raging everywhere over this map. And at the moment, I feel Denial is slightly on top of it.
But Fluky still with plenty of H-Raj, also 100% Denial aren't doing too well in terms of their HP, but Potomaco's in.
Yeah, Potomaco, not the tank you want to come face to face with, but Stanley actually gets the first shell off, and now it's a 2v1. Stanley trying to do what he can, but he's in a bad place at the worst time, and Potomaco and Zenef make it hurt even more as Mirage and Fluky trying to do some sort of work, but I think this one is over.
Would be very hard for eSuba to come back. Meritorious, though, he is down to pretty low HP, but Nia Pizzorni is there to save the day.
Yeah, but Mirage is still doing the work. Fluky as well. It's a 2v2 up here. The cap is beginning and underway, but there we have it. 1 shell full. That's Nia Pizzorni down. Materius takes another shell. He's out of there as well. It's a 2v2 cap base race. Can Fluky get back and stop this one being capped out? It's almost over. 14 seconds left.
eSuba just need to make sure that they aren't giving away too much if they can get back in time, but Denial aren't going to give away much either with 5 seconds to go.
5 seconds left on that board. You watch that timer ticking down, and I think it's too little too late. eSuba, they couldn't make it back in time, and as much as they fought hard and bravely, it's going to be a 3-0 clean sweep for Denial Esports, and that's got to hurt for an ending.
Third 3-0 of the day indeed. Absolutely fantastic games. Nia Pizzorni doing 2,076 damage in that IS-3. Surprising always to see an IS-3 do the most damage of a game, but he was doing such a good job along those railroads. You can't really nudge him for that one. All in all, a pretty solid performance by Denial. I don't think they were tested at all. It looks like eSuba without their team captain are kind of headless chickens.
I agree.
They just try something without really thinking it through. Although I must say, bringing it back from a 4 versus 2 to a 2 versus 2 was extraordinarily impressive with their positioning. They have the players. It's the team at the end of the day that took Speil out of the season 4. They beat them in the relegation matches. So they're extraordinarily good, but they need Voodoo's at the front, and they need him to really drive that team forwards, give them some aim, give them some purpose.
I completely and utterly agree. Certainly a team to maybe keep our eyes on, but for me, they've fallen out of favour, whereas other teams are starting to impress me a little more. Freefall, sadly not being able to cope with Virtus Pro, but what an opponent to come up against first of all. And let's see, obviously, how it went throughout the day. First game was Virtus Pro against Freefall. I feel Freefall probably had the toughest game there out of everything. Very hard one to ever come out of, especially in the good light. Then following that, School Bus picking up the victory against Wusa. Wusa, better, but not by a lot. Looking very similar on mines, and that, tunnel vision that they thought they could get away with was their complete undoing there. Pretty much being, as you said, fish in a barrel for School Bus. And then on the final game, Denial, maybe not as strong as they once were, but still looking pretty solid. So overall, good play day. I think the right teams won the right maps and in the right matchups. Sadly, not too much of a competition, but we need to see how these games today have affected the overall rankings, obviously. And no surprise, really, it's Virtus Pro back on top, and they wanted that. They were looking for that for a while, and they certainly deserve it. Currently the only team to not really drop any games or draw any out. Kazna just behind with their slip-up that kind of happened against Wusa earlier on with that draw, obviously holding them now down in second place. EPS TCM Gaming we didn't get to see today, but still, School Bus in 5th, Lucky Cracky 6th. There's a lot of big teams still yet to perform here, I feel.
I think School Bus will end up heading up towards the top of that ranking. In my opinion, I'm really going to call it out. Kazna Crew, Virtus Pro, School Bus, TCM Gaming is going to be our top 4 maybe at the end of this season. As I said, School Bus is going to climb their way up. I think Kazna, the game versus Virtus Pro is really going to be the great one. And I must admit, Drooling Leprechaun's also been impressing. I think they're going to be in the middle of that table as we go through to next week for those games as well. So all in all, I think the ranking's starting to shape up a little bit. We can kind of see our front runners, obviously TCM Gaming, Virtus Pro, Kazna Crew, School Bus. Most impressive team compared to last season for me is definitely Kazna. I have to say, as a team who's always struggled to be around that 6th position, just about qualifying for the offline finals, coming 3rd was their best result in the season 3 finals. They're really looking like a top 3 team for this one as well.
They definitely are, and if you liked upsets, you didn't get one right now in the football. Currently Croatia leading 1-0 over the hosts Brazil. So there's your upset of the day.
One non-unexpected result.
It was an own goal, apparently. Ooh, that's not going too well for those guys.
That must
but there's
be
your upset, at
horrible
least
for
for
a
the day.
Brazilian.
Yeah. For the first thing you ever do in the World Cup, that's what happens.
An own goal, that's not a good start.
Ouch, that's not
That's
good.
like getting married on a rainy day.
Okay, that's beautifully romantic. Oh, he's a softie deep down. But anyway, back to the tanks away from the football, because I'm sure you guys will be wrapped up in that anyway. We got to now look at the next couple of playdays coming up, and they're the important factors here. Obviously, we'll be tuning back in between Wusa and eSuba will be the next time we come back to you guys on the 16th. And that'll be a good game, I feel. Kind of find out who can really step up when it matters, claim maybe a win under their belt, because they're desperately looking for it. Kazna C-Play, a very big game there, actually. C-Play have been showing a lot of potential, could cause an upset. And then even following that, the game that I'm really looking for, School Bus against TCM. Where are your predictions in that final one?
TCM has been very, very strong. School Bus have been getting better. I think that's going to be a very close game.
Yep.
As long as TCM don't get too phased by some of the big names from School Bus, I think they could do very well. They need to outthink them, because that's where School Bus's weaknesses lie.
Well, if you like the sounds of it, I know I certainly do. You will want to tune back in on that 16th at the same time. Obviously next week coming up, so we'll be going live at around 7 CEST, I believe. Currently is the time. I'm not ever sure on that stuff. But guys, we've had a great time. We had some great games. The better teams just look better on the day. But anyway, if you've enjoyed it, make sure you tune in at the same time on the 16th. We'll be here, and hopefully you'll be as well.